Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Really exciting one.
Definitely a fan favorite for many.
Absolutely. So our guide for this is excerpts from Harry Potter, Azkaban's Prisoner and Revealed Truths, which gives a great overview of J.K. Rowling's third book. And our mission, as always, is to pull out those key nuggets of knowledge, maybe some surprising bits, focusing on, the main story beats, the characters, the big themes.
Yeah, what really stands out?
Yeah, exactly. And just for context, this one came out July 8, 1999 in the UK, then September 8th, 1999 in the US. Fantasy, young adult adventure, mostly set at Hogwarts, of course.
Right. And I think it's really important to state up front, this book is, well, it's a turning point, isn't it?
Absolutely. How so?
The whole tone just shifts. It gets darker, definitely. We start seeing the wizarding world isn't quite so black and white. There are complexities, systemic issues. The characters start maturing, facing harder truths.
That's a great point. It moves beyond just good guys versus bad guys.
Exactly. Azkaban itself, Sirius Black's story. It forces you to look at the institutions, at justice, in a totally different way than before. It really challenges Harry's worldview. And ours too, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's unpack the story itself then. It kicks off, as usual, with Harry having a pretty awful summer with the Dursleys.
Understatement of the year.
Right, and his frustration just boils over, leading to that accidental inflation of Aunt Marge, which is kind of funny, but
Also shows his magic flaring up under extreme emotion, uncontrolled.
Yeah, and that forces him to run away, doesn't it? He just bolts.
And ends up on the night bus. Quite an introduction back into the wizarding world. Wild ride.
Definitely sets the tone. And he arrives at the Leaky Cauldron, reuniting with that world, but almost immediately.
There's news. Big, ominous news. Sirius Black has escaped from Azkaban.
The supposedly inescapable prison.
Precisely. And the Ministry's reaction is immediate fear. They believe Black is after Harry.
Which leads to the Dementors.
Right. Stationing these soul-sucking guards from Azkaban at Hogwarts for protection.
Which just creates this atmosphere of fear, doesn't it? Like a constant dread hanging over the school year.
Absolutely. It immediately makes you question that balanced security versus, well, living without constant fear.
Yeah, the vibe is totally different this year. And speaking of the school year, Hagrid steps up as the new Care of Magical Creatures teacher.
Which is great. But it also leads to the whole Buckbeak incident.
Ah, yes. The Hippogriff.
Yeah.
And Draco Malfoy deliberately provoking him.
Which sets off this whole chain reaction involving the Ministry, wizarding law. It's messy.
Very messy. But we also get a fantastic new defense against the dark arts teacher, Professor Lupin.
Finally, a competent one, and kind, too.
Yes, and he seems to really understand Harry, especially with the Dementors.
He does. Those Dementors have a terrible effect on Harry, much worse than on others. And Lupin recognizes that.
He teaches him the Patronus charm.
Which is fascinating. It's really advanced magic, needing a powerful, happy memory. Think about that, using joy, literally weaponizing happiness to fight off utter despair.
Wow, yeah. That's a powerful image.
It's hugely symbolic. It's Harry actively fighting back against the trauma the Dementors trigger, forcing him to relive his parents' deaths. It's about finding courage within himself.
And while all this is happening with Harry, Hermione's got her own thing going on. Her timetable
is insane. She's taking way too many classes.
And somehow showing up everywhere, popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah, always seems to be in two places at once. Which is, a clever bit of foreshadowing for later.
Definitely plants a seed. And all through the year, the tension around Sirius Black just builds and builds.
The story everyone believes is that he betrayed Harry's parents to Voldemort.
Right. Killed Peter Pettigrew, killed a bunch of muggles, was James Potter's best friend.
Along with Lupin and Pettigrew, the Marauders. And now he's supposedly broken into Hogwarts multiple times, seemingly hunting Harry.
The paranoia is just ramping up. Okay, so all these threads, the suspicion, the fear, the secrets, they all come crashing together in the Shrieking Shack. This is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, absolutely. The climax is just revelation after revelation.
Unpack it for us. What are the big truths that come out?
Well, first, the absolute bombshell. Sirius Black isn't trying to kill Harry. He's his godfather.
Innocent.
Completely innocent of betraying the Potters. Second, Peter Pettigrew, the friend Sirius, supposedly murdered.
Yeah.
He's alive. And he's been hiding for 12 years as Scabbers, Ron's pet rat.
No way. Scabbers the whole time.
The whole time. He's an unregistered animagus, and he was the one who betrayed James and Lily Potter to Voldemort. He framed Sirius.
Mind blown. So Pettigrew is the traitor. Sirius is innocent. What else?
And then there's Lupin, his mysterious illnesses, his disappearances during the full moon.
He's a werewolf.
Exactly. It all clicks into place. Suddenly, the whole picture changes. Everything they thought they knew about that night, about these people, it's all turned upside down.
Wow. So in that moment in the shack, Sirius and Lupin finally have Pettigrew cornered. What happens next?
Well, understandably, they want revenge. They're ready to kill Pettigrew right then and there for his betrayal.
But Harry stomps them.
He does, which is huge for a 13-year-old. He says, no, we take him back to the castle, we hand him over to the Dementors, prove Sirius is innocent.
He wants justice, not just revenge. He wants his godfather's name cleared.
Exactly. It shows incredible maturity. But things don't quite go to plan.
What happens?
Pettigrew escapes. Lupin transforms because of the full moon, chaos ensues, and Pettigrew gets away in his rat form.
Oh no, so serious.
Sirius remains a fugitive, Pettigrew is gone, justice denied. It's heartbreaking, really.
Yeah, it really is. It raises that tough question, doesn't it? Even with magic, sometimes the system, or just bad luck, means the truth doesn't win out.
Precisely. Even with all the magic in the world, human systems, perceptions, they're hard to change. Sirius is innocent, but the world still thinks he's guilty.
Such a heavy outcome. But then, there's a twist. Hermione reveals her secret.
Ah, yes, the time turner, the reason she could be in multiple classes all year.
Given to her by Professor McGonagall under strict rules.
And Dumbledore subtly encourages them to use it, to perhaps save more than one innocent life that night.
Right. So Harry and Hermione go back in time. What do they manage to achieve?
It's quite brilliant, actually. They go back 3 hours. First, they manage to save Buckbeak the Hippogriff from execution just moments before it happens.
Using clues they know from having lived through it once?
Exactly. And then, knowing Sirius is locked in the tower awaiting the Dementor's kiss, they use Buckbeak.
They help Sirius escape on Buckbeak.
They do. He flies away, still a fugitive, but free. It's an amazing sequence, but...
His name still isn't cleared.
No, that's the bittersweet part. They changed events, saved lives, but couldn't change the official narrative, the public perception. Sirius is free, but still hunted.
Yet he and Harry now have this connection, right? A promise of family someday.
Absolutely. A vital link is forged. Sirius promises to be there for Harry when it's safe. It offers hope, even amidst the injustice.
Okay, so reflecting on all that,
Mm-hmm.
what are the really big ideas, the core themes that this story brings to the surface? It feels like a lot more than just adventure.
Oh, definitely. A huge one is justice and injustice. Sirius's story is the prime example. 12 years in Azkaban without a trial. Completely innocent.
While the real culprit runs free.
Exactly. It really makes you scrutinize the Ministry of Magic, the legal system. It's not infallible. It can be deeply flawed, even corrupt. It adds this layer of systemic critique.
Yeah, that really comes through. And tied to that maybe is friendship and loyalty.
Definitely. You see the tragic breakdown of the Marauders' friendship, James, Sirius Lupin, betrayed by Pettigrew. That loyalty shattered.
But then you contrast it with Harry, Ron, and Hermione.
Whose bond just gets stronger under pressure. Their loyalty to each other, especially to Sirius and Lupin in the end, is unwavering. It's like their superpower almost.
It really is. Okay, what else?
Well, fear and courage is massive in this book, right? Primarily with the Dementors.
Facing literal despair.
Exactly. They represent depression, deep fear. And Harry has to confront his absolute worst memories, his deepest trauma, to fight them. Learning the Patronus is the ultimate act of courage, finding light in the darkness.
It's a very psychological battle.
It really is, and that connects to identity and transformation. Think about it.
How so?
Lupin is hiding his identity as a werewolf, living with that stigma. Pettigrew literally transforms his identity using animagus magic to hide his guilt. Sirius is forced into the identity of a criminal.
And Harry himself is transforming too, right? Growing up, facing these really complex adult truths.
Precisely. He's shedding that childhood innocence, realizing the world is shades of gray. He has to redefine his understanding of good, evil, loyalty, family. It's a huge step in his journey to adulthood.
So these new characters, Sirius, Lupin, Pettigrew, even Buckbeak and the Dementors, they aren't just plot devices. They really deepen everything.
Absolutely. Each one adds layers to the themes, pushes Harry's development, and expands the moral landscape of the entire series.
So to sum it up then, what's the lasting impact of Prisoner of Azkaban?
I think it's fair to say it fundamentally deepens the series. The emotional stakes are higher. The morality is far more complex. It moves beyond a simple hero's journey into something much richer and more challenging. It introduces those gray areas powerfully.
Yeah, that feels right. And it's interesting, Voldemort isn't physically present in this one, is he?
No direct appearance.
But his shadow, the legacy of his terror, it hangs over everything. Sirius's imprisonment, Pettigrew's betrayal, the fear, it all stems back to him.
Completely. His influence is felt everywhere, making the world feel bigger, more interconnected, and definitely more dangerous by the end. More emotionally real, too.
Absolutely. Okay, a final thought then for you listening to this deep dive. As you think back on Prisoner of Azkaban, maybe consider this. How does the weight of the past, those actions taken years ago, heroic or treacherous, how does that keep shaping the present? Even for people like Harry, who weren't even there to witness it all. Something to mull over.